Okay, let me ask you, after you get off of a Zoom call, what's your energy level like? How is your emotional state? Are you like, please, no one talk to me for at least an hour? Are you like just burnt? And depending on how many virtual calls, Zooming as they call it now, how many virtual meetings you're on, whether they are back to back or is just one, and how many people are on these Zoom calls, Zoom fatigue is a real thing. So I was just reading an article, came out last year, and it's from research from Stanford on this Zoom fatigue and the four main categories, the four main areas that's causing fatigue for us. I mean, like it's a no-brainer, right? Like Zooming is emotionally, just physically draining at times. No matter how exciting the content is in the meeting and who you're talking to, it takes a toll. We're burning mental calories when we get on virtual meetings. So, all right. So I'm going to go through them and I have some notes here. So I'm going to be looking off here to the side at my notes, but I want to tell you these because this is so helpful because as I have been on Zoom calls, and obviously since the pandemic, we've all shifted. We've all had to show up on virtual meetings. We find ways to adapt, right? But I don't think we're always talking about the ways we're adapting. I've found things that I've used that help me out when I'm on camera so I can really be dialed in and not just try to make it as natural as possible in a completely unnatural setting, right? Because in person is always the best. It's always the best. But then we got this. So, hey, let's use it because we can be everywhere at once. All right. So, the first thing they said was one of the big problems causing Zoom fatigue is excessive close up eye contact. It is not natural for us to be looking at each other's faces so close up like this for extended periods of time. And in fact, what they said in the article is that when the brain is in this intense state, it either results in our brain is wired to take that close contact as an intense situation that either easy for me to say, either ends in mating or conflict. So it's just unnatural. And here's the solution to that. Here's one solution because there's lots of different ways to address any problem. What they're suggesting, and I agree, is reduce the size. Especially if you have a big monitor, you don't need to make people seem lifelike in size. Reduce them, just bring them down. And I do this too because I don't need to see everyone that close up. And I don't need to see myself. And that's the next one. It is so the next problem is seeing yourself constantly. It's like the example they give in the article, which it's very true. It's that if you were just to go about your day in person and, talk to people, provide feedback, make decisions, whatever it is, and you had someone following you with a mirror faced right at your face. Like that is not natural to be looking at yourself as you're talking. We don't need to see what we look like when we're talking. And the world of virtual meetings has like made this a new norm. It's weird and it's unnatural and it gets in our head and it's burning mental calories. And it's a reason why we're experiencing this exhaustion when we get off virtual calls. So don't look at yourself. And here's the thing. And what they say this in the article too, once you figure out your framing, so you know where the camera's at, you know where you're appearing in the frame, and usually it should be something like this, head and shoulders, arms, so you can make gestures. Hide your view. You don't need to see this. In fact, these Stanford researchers are working with these different platforms to help modify the way virtual meetings are conducted because it is causing fatigue, especially if you've got a big team and you're calling people to these meetings and they don't need to be looking at themselves. It blocks it. You get in your head when you're looking at yourself. Okay. So hide your self view. You don't need to see yourself. Okay. The next thing, and I will add to that. When I talk in virtual meetings, because they always, your image is always so close to the person you're talking to, no matter what kind of you always see yourself. So, and the best way is really just to look at the lens when you're talking. And it's almost like you're having a phone conversation, but you're looking at something. You're not getting any kind of like nonverbal cues back from the person, but it's so much easier to convey your thoughts, I have found, when I'm just looking right into the lens and just speaking as if I'm talking in real person, in real life. Okay. So the next one is our next reason why we are experiencing emotional fatigue, Zoom fatigue, is that our mobility is, we're stuck. We're stuck in a frame because we have to be on camera for these meetings. I mean, think about it. If you were in a real meeting in person, you have an ability to kind of sit back and kind of like change up your stance and maybe throw a leg up. I don't know, depending on how casual the meeting is, but you're able to move around. And we don't have that option. Well, we do have that option, but a lot of us feel like we have to be poised in a certain place and on camera. And maybe sometimes if you are leading the meeting or someone else is leading the meeting, that is the expectation, that you are right there. And it's not natural. And it's unnecessary. It's just completely unnecessary to have to be in that situation. So what they say is, their suggestion is, use an external camera and position a little bit further away so you can get up and you can move around. Here's what I know to be true, is that not everybody wants their whole body or their waist up to be seen on camera like that when no one else is. So yeah, well, that could work to have it further away. Depending on your comfort level with the people that you're interacting with virtually, you may not want to do that. So my suggestion is to have a tripod chair. And this is great. Like, I'm actually going to be redesigning my office once again, because I used to sit on this thing. I'm going to try to lift it up here. It's really heavy, but it extends. And so this is a tripod chair. This is the base. And then this is the top. And then when you pull this, you sit on it and you pull it, and it can extend to your, however tall you are. I'm 5'10", 5'9", somewhere around there. And it's comfortable for me. So I'm standing in a tripod, and the base of it has a curve to it. So I'm able to move around and get those like ADD jitters out of me. Not that I am ADD, but I probably am. Anyway, so undiagnosed ADD. And then what else do they say? Oh, what should be a ground rule if you are hosting a meeting is to allow your viewers to go off camera every once in a while. Go off camera. Just take a rest from the nonverbal exercise of having to be on camera. Allow that. Allow yourself to do that. I just need to take a mental break from being. Doesn't that feel good though, when you're on a meeting and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I just have to go off camera right now, just because I need to be off camera for no other reason, but I need to be off camera right now. I can't handle this. And it feels so free when you're off camera. So do that. Allow yourself those breaks. All right. What else? The last one they had in the article, and I'll put the link for the article here in the underneath here. The cognitive load is so much higher. And this is another reason why we're experiencing Zoom fatigue. It is that when we are in person and we are just providing feedback one-on-one with each other, there are so many little, very slight details in our nonverbal communication, whether it's a sigh. A sigh, is that going to get picked up on a Zoom call? No. Or it is the way we look at each other. There's so many nonverbal cues, communication that we use when we are in person that are just not communicated the same way when we're on Zoom or any virtual platform. And this is something like you want to let people know that, oh my gosh, I totally agree with you. I would nod my head. Yeah. In a Zoom call, what do you have to do? You have to you have to be like, yeah, yes, awesome. Oh my God. It requires so much more energy. And once again, it's mental calories that you are burning. So So you are, in order to communicate yourself on Zoom. Look at me. I'm having Zoom fatigue right now, and I'm not even on Zoom. I'm on StreamYard. So that's it. I'm trying to think about anything else to add to that. But, Zoom fatigue is a real thing. So read the article, or I'll put the problems and the solutions here so you can review them, but take them to heart and make those modifications when you hop on and when you conduct your Zoom meetings, and allow your viewers, your participants, to kind of have a break from Zoom fatigue. And that's it. All right. I'm just here because I just want to help you show up on camera as your awesome, badass self and rock it, and not be overwhelmed and stressed, and just kind of really just be yourself and be grounded, confident. All right. That's it. Okay. Now get on with your bad selves.